Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Sonder Social. For those of you who are new to Sonder Socials or new to me as your host, I'm Malika. I will be leading you through this hour. We're going to do the weekly setup. This is a social we tend to do a lot here at Silk and Sonder, so I'm excited for you all to join. If you are new, make sure to shout yourselves out in the chat. I do see a lot of familiar names in the chat. So welcome back to those returning folks. But for everyone who is new, welcome. And I'm so excited to have you. And before we get started, make sure to set your chat to everyone. Sometimes Zoom auto defaults it to host and panelists, which means only myself and my wonderful co-facilitator, Katie, can see it. So make sure to check and that toggle is set to everyone, which brings me to introducing my co-facilitator, which is Katie Gideon. She is joining us all the way from Europe. So I'm very excited that she has stayed up late for us. She's always a delight. So make sure to say hi to her. She'll be answering any questions you have in the chat. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And we can kind of just start the social. There's a lot to go through here, so I am excited. Okay. So for the folks that are new, this is just a refresher on the guidelines for folks that are returning. But basically, we want to make sure that everyone's kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotion or spam. Respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. Any product or accessory questions or customer care inquiries. Can be sent to hello@silkandsonder.com. And just remember, Sonder socials are a way to elevate our emotional health and really get the most out of our journals. I think there's definitely a power to that pen to paper, but when we come to these weekly setups, we can see how other people are repurposing these sections. And these 2 pages are really setting you up for your week. So it's a great way to kind of make sure we're investing our time in setting up our weeks properly so that it's best serving us. Um, all right. And thank you, Karen, for the compliment. I do love the sweater. It is a new purchase and it's very bright, but I do really like it. It was a sunny day today in San Francisco, so it was fun to wear it today. Okay, so this month's theme is authenticity. I know we are new into this month of April, but I personally love this theme. I think being authentic is really part of my core values. And I always turn to the definition on page 3 when I talk about like the theme and remembering kind of how we're defining it. So, authenticity is defined as the quality of being genuine, real, and true to oneself, embracing one's unique identity and values without pretense. So, when we think about authenticity, thinking about like what do you feel most aligned with and who you truly are. I think when I reflect back on, I think I started journaling when I was in my early 20s, when I first started my job out of college. And I think there was a period of time where I really struggled with coming into my own just because I felt pulled in different directions. So whether it be, maybe I was, in a job that I felt like I had to do rather than something that was more, authentic to who I was, and just kind of going through those motions, through my 20s. I think I finally feel like I'm in a place where I am living in my more authentic self, and it's made everything a lot easier. So, really recognizing, kind of who you are and what makes you happy and living that out every day and being kind of showing up for yourself is really important. So it really means you kind of have to trust yourself. And even in those difficult times, it can be hard, but really identifying who you are and having a strong sense of self is really kind of what makes me feel okay. So that's why I think it's really important to be authentic. And I think a lot of I think back also on like the people that I have in my life, and I really think that they are very authentic to who they are, and that's why I feel really connected to them as well. So, with that, I rambled quite a bit about authenticity, but I really like this month's theme. We're gonna start off with this authenticity mind map. For folks who are new to weekly setup socials, we typically have a mind map exercise, and we explore each a different domain of the month's theme for each weekly setup. So we're going to start off with week one, so we get to do a fresh mind map together. Then we'll move into the rosebud thorn, and then we'll move into the weekly setup pages. Okay, so for the mind map, you can go ahead and choose a blank page in your notebook, or if you'd like to do this on a separate page, that's totally fine. But give yourself some space for this mind map. It's going to be, you're going to start on section one, but have some space allocated for those other weeks as you come to weekly setups, and you can fill out your mind map. And for this week, we have the first like we don't like question we're gonna answer is, how do you know when you're truly being yourself? Reflect on a recent situation where you felt inauthentic, and what contributed to that feeling, and what could you do differently next time? This one is a little tough, I think. Oh, sorry. I think we're on week two. I apologize. Okay, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Thank you guys for keeping me honest. All right. Okay, sorry, we're on week two of connections. This is why, I have you guys. You help me with my socials. Okay, week two. Sorry. I was traveling last week and I messed up the dates. I'm still on Texas time. Yes, Katie, I did go to Texas last week. Okay, week two is connections. Recall a time when you felt deeply connected with someone. What aspects of that interaction felt authentic to you? How can you show up more authentically in your relationships? Consider any fears or barriers you might need to overcome. Okay, so think about those people in your life. Sorry about my spiel. This is week two, so hopefully you have your mind maps. If you don't have one, you can start fresh. But we're working on week two. And for this one, think about kind of which relationships are, you felt really authentically driven towards. So maybe it's a close friend of yours, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your child, maybe it's your parent, maybe it's a cousin or a family member. Think about, or a colleague. Think about what that is, who that is for you. And maybe like think about why that is, and why do you think that interaction felt really authentic. So I'll give you all some time to reflect on that relationship that you felt really deeply connected with somebody. Maybe there was a certain conversation that came to mind that really shifted everything. Think about who that person is, and why it was important, and then we'll regroup in a few minutes. All right. Thank you all for sharing who that person is, and why that relationship felt really authentic, and how you can show up more authentically in your relationships. I think it's good to self-reflect, and it's also fun to kind of figure out who that person is. I think for me, I just had lunch with somebody who I feel really deeply connected to, and she's a close friend of mine. She was my former roommate, in LA, and I just have always felt deeply connected to her, and she's been a friend of mine for many, many years now. So it was great to catch up with her. All right. We'll now move on to our rosebud thorn. So for this rosebud thorn, it will be on page, sorry, one second. It'll be on page 30 for this rosebud thorn. And I always like to share my personal rosebud thorn. So, for folks who are new to what this is, a rose is a highlight, something that's going well, something that you're grateful for. A bud is a new and emerging opportunity, something that you're looking forward to on the horizon. And then your thorn is a challenge or something that you have been struggling with. So my rose is I just came back from Austin, Texas. I had a really fun conference with my coworkers. My company hosted this hospitality conference because we work in the hotel space, and it was really energizing and a lot of fun. And I'm actually flying out tomorrow to meet up with some of my team in Atlanta for another work trip, and then I'm going actually back to Austin for the weekend. So I'm excited for all those fun things that are happening. My bud is I'm turning 30 soon. I have 2 more months left of my 20s. And I am trying to work towards my personal goals. So I'm excited for that. And then unfolding that new chapter. And then my thorn is feeling really stagnant in my personal life, dealing with some drama, some unresolved drama in some of my relationships. So it's just kind of feeling like a little hindered in the growth part of that. So, but the bud is, eventually that'll turn a corner. But yeah, so I will give you all some time to reflect on your rose, your bud, and your thorn. right. Thank you all for sharing your rosebud and your thorn. We will now move on to, it's a great way to reflect on kind of where you are currently as we transition into the new week, which is why I love this exercise and why it's a great segue into our weekly setup. So go ahead and flip the page to page 32. This is where we'll set up our week. And we'll start off with that box at the top, and we'll kind of set our intention for how we want to feel. So, how do you want to feel? How do you want to show up for yourself? Think about what that is. It can be one word, it can be a phrase. Mine makes no sense. I put work hard, play hard for my intention because I'm going to be having a really intense work trip and then I'm going on a bachelorette trip following. So think about what that is for you, how you want to feel, and drop it in the chat. Think about what that word or what that phrase is for you. Here are some ideas to kind of get some of those feelings. If you are struggling to think of a word, this is a great start. I'm going to read out a few. Engaged. Let's see. Fresh, like an April shower. I love that. Purposeful, worthy, and glorious. Positive, grounded, mindful, juices flowing, on fire, accomplished, thriving, productive, calm, accomplished, back on track, more relaxed and grateful, less worn out and stressed, calm and completion, present and positive, focused on my future without stress, chill, accepted. These are all great words, and great intentions to write down. We will now move on to the next section, which is the weekly major three goals. Oh my gosh, I can never say that right when I say it fast. Okay, the weekly major three goals. They can really be any goals that you have in mind. I also here you can see a lot of different examples. You can have it mapped to your intention of how you want to feel, or they can just be any goals that you may have. So for me, I actually just put three things that I really want to do that I need to like start doing, so they're top of mind. But it can be any goals that you have. Maybe you have a personal challenge this week or this month, and you can set up some goals to kind of map out that personal challenge. Maybe you had something last week that you want to set the goal for this week, and think about kind of what those goals are for you. So I'll give you all some time to set up your goals, and then we'll regroup for the weekly to-do section next. Right. Thank you for sharing what those goals are for the week. We will now move on to the weekly to-do section. So I'm going to walk you through a couple different ways you can set this up. Of course, this could be a bulleted list, but this is also a great option if you want to do an Eisenhower matrix where you can decide what's urgent and what is important. And you can make, you can categorize it based on what you need to do, decisions you need to make, what you can delegate, and what you need to delete or remove. So this is a great option if you feel like you want to prioritize lists. And these are some examples of how people have used the Eisenhower matrix in the past. You can also you can see this example here. Maybe you want to repurpose this as like a physical, mental, and emotional health to do. That's a great way to repurpose this. You can also see here we have the need, want, hope to do list. So maybe you're feeling like you want to be in a little bit more of like a dreamer state. You can identify what things you actually need to get done and things you want to get done, and maybe things that you want to wish, like something you're thinking of or hoping for. You can also, on the flip side, figure out kind of what not to do. So, what are things that are holding you back? What are things that are counterproductive? What are things that you tend to do that are pulling you away from being productive or doing the things that are actually on your to-do list? So what are things not to do? I love that option. I also like this option of a bingo board. So if you do feel like gamifying your to-do list a little bit, you can put like stickers, you can cross it off with a marker, or you can even categorize your to-do list, which is something that I typically do, where I categorize some of my to-dos for like my big work to-dos, my home to-dos, my personal life to-dos. So what are those things looking like for you? That way you can have it a little bit more structured. So I'll give you all some time to set up your to-do list, and then we'll regroup for the habit and activity section next. All right. We'll now move on to the habit and activity section below. And here is a place where you can kind of set up your weekly habits. Think about what that is for the week. It can be a few that you have on your monthly habit, or maybe these are a completely separate set of habits that you want to track. A great way to set this up is, say you want to do a morning routine or a night routine, and you have each of the things that you want to do. You can also tie this to your health goals. Here you can see an example in the middle where they utilized the space in the bubble to write out metrics and color code them based on the fluctuations. And then it's a great way to kind of make it more of a comprehensive overview of your habits. Or you can do what I do on the bottom. You can see the mine is the one on the bottom right, and that one is the like kind I just cross it out. And sometimes I do the goal, but sometimes I omit it. So if you feel like you want to set a goal for each habit, you definitely can. But you also can keep it blank and do the best you can. And just remember for this section, just really, it's all about kind of doing the best you can, giving yourself grace, and really just kind of doing as much as you can, but not feeling overwhelmed and pressured to do every single bubble. We're all humans, so it's not easy to do every single thing every time, but this is also just kind of part of the first step if you want to build those healthy habits. So, with that, I will give you all some time to set up your habit tracker, and then we'll move on to the meal plan section next. All right. We'll now move on to the next section, which is the meal plan. So here are a ton of different examples of how people use this section. Of course, you could use it for its intended purpose, which is writing out your meals for the week. If you meal prep, or if you want to use this as a food log, you can do that as well. But you can also repurpose this section to best serve you. It's really a blank canvas on how you use it. So it can be an affirmation place where you write all your affirmations each day. It can also be a place where you want to reflect each day. It can be a great place for appointments if you have that. It can be a great place for your wardrobe planner, or maybe if you want to reflect on the 7 types of rest. Maybe you want to break up a big chore. It's a great way to do that. So this is the meal plan section. I'll give you all some time to set this up, and write in the chat how you're setting up your meal plan section. And I would love to kind of see how you do it, because people get really creative with the section. And then we'll regroup for the mind body health plan next. I love a little Sunday jazz. I feel like it's really calming. But we will now move on to the next section, which is the mind body health plan. So, for the mind body health plan, this is really your self-care plan. I think of it as like your treat yourself for yourself each day. So you have something to look forward to. Because oftentimes we get really wrapped up in our busy day to day and we just need a little treat once in a while. So what is that for you? Maybe it's a little sweet treat. Maybe it's going for a walk outside. Maybe it's journaling for a little bit. Maybe it's talking to a friend. So, thinking about kind of what that self care plan is for you, that is kind of how I would set this up. So, I'll also walk us through, just given that we only have a few minutes left, we only have 10 minutes left. I'll also walk through the shopping list section. So, this section is also often heavily repurposed. And it can be a shopping list if you have a lot of things that you want to purchase, but you can also just think of this as a blank box. So here you can see a bingo board. You can see people write their intentions. People put a lot of quotes in here. I put a lot of sticker quotes in here oftentimes. I like this idea of like what are some mini breaks you can do for at work, and also kind of using a calm scale. So maybe you've set your intention to feel really calm. Identifying kind of how calm you feel each day is a great way to use this section. The possibilities are truly endless with the shopping list section. So I'll give you all some time to set up your mind body health plan and your shopping list, and then we'll regroup together for that last little box that's remaining, which is the I am loving section. So I'll give you all some time and then we'll regroup in a few minutes. All right. We'll now move on to that last little box, the I am loving section. So, with that, hold on. Where's my mouse? Sorry, give me one sec, guys. Okay. The I'm loving section. I apologize. So maybe this is a time for you to close your eyes for a few seconds, and really visualize what you're truly loving in your life. I know I'm really enjoying the sunny weather we've been having in San Francisco. It's been really, really a beautiful couple days, and I am just really grateful to live here. It's just been such a good time with spring and all the flowers blooming. And I'm really enjoying it. And I encourage you to write it down once you figure out what you're loving, and share with us in the chat what you're loving currently. Um, so I see Melissa said dogwoods are blooming here. How fun. Lindsay said spring weather changes. I know there's something about spring coming out of the dark winter period and moving on to the warmer months. It's a really fun time, minus my allergies. The love in the walls of my home. Brenda, that's so beautiful. I really love the way you wrote that. Tulips are starting to pop up. Yes. I actually bought tulips from the farmer's market recently, and they were so beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you all for this wonderful, productive hour together. This was truly a pleasure. I love these weekly setups. I love getting a glimpse of how you set up your week. Make sure to share your pages with us. They're in the Sonder Club app under the inspiration tab. Make sure to check that out. Upload your sections. You all saw these are all examples that you do, because you are that amazing. So definitely share your pages, and make sure to check out the life coach product that Silk and Sonder has. It's really cool. It really tailors everything to who you are. So you feed it a couple of your personality quizzes, things that you're going through. It's really personalized. And then it creates this plan that gets sent to you at your specified cadence. And it's really, really incredible. I love it. I get mine weekly, I get mine every Sunday, and it's such a blessing. I love it so much. And you can always update it. It's been really great. So check that out. Katie just dropped out all the links in there for you. She also just sent you the YouTube link. So make sure to check all of that out. We have all this great content for you. So thank you all so much for spending this hour with me. This has been such a delight, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody.